Okay, so, this is going to be me talking about DC's new comic lines that they are coming out with. Man, they're just firing out with everything, aren't they? And these are the two new ones. One was announced today, the other one was announced a couple days ago, but I decided, I'll lump it in together. I mean, first off, we got DC, then we have Young Animals, then we have Vertigo, and another line coming out of Vertigo, technically under DC, and another DC title. We also have DC titles for the young adults and children, which I think is cool. So yeah, DC's really cranking out the different lines, right? Anyway, so I'm going to talk about, of course, DC Black Label and Sandman Universe, which is the two new lines they announced recently. Shit. Sorry, I'm just getting a text. Also, what was I going to say? Also, I'm going to be talking about this on my other channel, Comic Universe, which is the new channel my friend Craig and I have come up with. If you haven't subscribed already, I will leave a link below in the description box so you guys can subscribe and check out our videos. We're now, keep in mind though, the first 3 videos are kind of like 2 weeks old, but we kind of ran into chicanery, so hence why they're a little outdated, so apologies in advance, just to let you guys know. But other than that, let's talk about these new titles, starting with DC Black Label. DC Black Label sounds like an alcohol line, doesn't it? Like DC coming out with a line of bourbon. Like I can just imagine the tagline for this: DC Comics Black Label, drink it, you pussy. And considering one of the people on that who's writing a comic for this line, that tagline would not be far from the truth. That being Frank Miller on his graphic novel, I think it's graphic novel or miniseries, but no, I think it's graphic novel, which is Superman Year One. Because when I think Superman, I think of the guy who does not get Superman at all. And you may argue, oh, what about his stuff in Dark Knight Returns? Yeah, but to which I argue with, respond with, sorry, I was caught up with something. To which I respond with, yeah, but what about Dark Knight Strikes Again and the Master Race? Just saying. That's kind of the thing, is that Frank Miller is not a person I would trust with Superman, and that especially maybe Frank Miller in the past, like Frank Miller in his prime, I could have seen him do something with Superman. I think it would have been cool to see him do something with Superman, like Frank Miller, like Dark Knight Returns era or Born Again era Frank Miller, not post Holy Terror Frank Miller. Yeah, not feeling that, guys. Not feeling that at all. So I'm a little nervous about that. And again, the DC Black Label will be out of continuity. These will be they're kind of like Max comics. They're very much like the Max universe or something to that degree. They'll be like, or Elseworlds. Actually, they're more close to Elseworlds. But with if Elseworlds and Max had a baby, and Marvel Max had a baby, it would be like that. That's what we're kind of looking at here with Black Label. It's like an amalgam between Elseworlds and Marvel Max, because it's supposed to be more of an adult title. And I can think of nothing better than Frank Miller's Superman Year One. I don't even know how that's going to play out. We also have 2 other titles coming out from DC's Black Label to kick things off. Wonder Woman by Kelly Sue DeConnick, which I'm actually like, when they first said Kelly Sue DeConnick doing her own Wonder Woman title for DC Black Label, and in a totally different Wonder Woman, I was like, okay, I'm sold. And then we also have Scott Snyder on Batman, again. But word on the street is that this is Scott Snyder's final Batman story. I don't know how true that is. I really don't know how true that is to the yeah, I don't know how true that is, honestly. What I do know is that, yeah, Scott Snyder, I will say much like with Dan Slott, is that he, God bless Scott Snyder for wanting to do Batman as long as he has. I mean, he was the only writer, say what you want about his stuff post, like Black Mirror and Court of Owls, at least he stuck on. I'll give him that. Like, at least the dude clung on for as long as he did, and, wanted to continue with his comics, with everything he had for Batman, and staying around as long as he did. So, even though I don't really like a lot of his Batman stuff, will admit that, I gotta give the guy credit for not wanting to play musical chairs like the rest of everyone else did in him and Greg Capullo sticking on as long as they did, more or less. Anywho, so those are the first few titles. I think it's an interesting idea. Like I said earlier, we have DC really branching out with all these new comic lines. You've got, Young Animals, you've got Vertigo, you have, you've got 2 new DC young adult and children lines coming out from them. They are really DC's really on the attack right now with all these new comic lines to really get new readers, and I think that's a really cool idea. Meanwhile, you just have Marvel with the one comic line on a whole. And yes, I know there's also the Star Wars line, but that's technically not, that's still not in its own thing. It's not, not in its own, it is in its own universe, but it's still under the Marvel line. It's not like, well, okay, if you want to be really technical about it, you've only got Marvel and Marvel Universe and Star Wars stuff out of Marvel, but there's no real, nothing really major as of late. There's no real Max title or Marvel Knights title. There's nothing really to really expand for readers. There's nothing like what DC's doing where they have a comic line for different readers. And I think it's a really cool idea. And Marvel used to do that. They had Marvel Adventures. They had a few other titles here and there, like the Max, Marvel Knights, and their regular series. But now it's kind of it's just Marvel and Star Wars. I don't know. They occasionally do Max titles, but it's nothing really as big as it used to be. So, you've got that going. Hopefully maybe Marvel will be like, yeah, we could totally do this. Although I have heard that they are, there is talk of a Marvel Kids title. So, yeah, something to that degree. But anyway, so yeah, DC's really killing it. I don't know, the one I'm really looking forward to is, out of all of the 3 that got announced so far, keep in mind, these are the only ones announced so far. As far as I know, it's just the Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman comics from Snyder, DeConnick, and Miller. The one like I said, the one I'm really looking forward to out of the 3 is Kelly Sue DeConnick's Wonder Woman, because she frickin' killed it with Captain Marvel, as well as her Avengers Assemble title. When Avengers, she did a small run in Avengers Assemble, which was actually a lot of fun. It focused on the Avengers led by Black Widow fighting Russian lizard people. Cool, I'm all in, and it was actually pretty frickin' cool. It also had some cool stuff between Spider-Woman and Hulk. Yeah, so yeah. Really looking forward to that, but maybe I'll give, I don't know how to feel, I know that Superman Year 1's going to be out of continuity, but I'm still I don't know if I want to see Frank Miller's depiction of the man who's supposed to give the world hope, Anyway, so there you go, guys, with Black Label. We're going to talk a bit about now for Sandman Universe, which is really cool. For those who are unaware, Sandman Universe is going to be a new line under Vertigo, which is, again, under DC. But Sandman Universe is going to be a whole expansive universe within the Sandman comics that is going to have different writers on it. I didn't see who was writing it, who was doing major titles, but what I do know is that Neil Gaiman will be in charge of the line. He will be in charge of the comic line, and he will be overseeing all of it. So I think that's really cool. I think that it's really cool that DC and Vertigo gave Neil Gaiman, creative control over the Sandman comics, and is letting him pick the writers. Very much like how, you've got, DC back with Wildstorm, and Warren Ellis is the head of the Wildstorm comics. Like I said, with Wildstorm back, and now with, I totally forgot that, oh yeah, they also have Wildstorm back together with Warren Ellis at the helm. Totally forgot about that. That's another thing under the DC house. So I totally forgot about that, but anyway, so you've also got that, and like I said, Neil Gaiman in charge of it, I think is a really cool angle. I can only imagine what he's going to come up with, and the fact that they're giving him creative control is nothing short of awesome. And I need to really read some more Sandman. I really need to read some more Sandman. It's not that I've never gotten interested in Sandman, it's just that a lot of these big, Absolute Sandman and all that, it's really hard to, find a right place to read, because it's so expansive, and B, all I can find in bookstores are like the big omnibuses or compendiums, and those are really expensive. I can't find a single like mini trade, and when I do, it's like a spin-off of a comic I haven't read yet. So as much as I really want to read more Sandman comics, I'm kind of like, oh shit, where do I begin? That's kind of the problem. Because like I said, everything I find is either too expensive or too confusing in continuity to read. So yeah. So you guys tell me in the comments below, what do you guys think of DC Black Label, Sandman Universe? Do you guys like the ideas? Do you guys hate them? And once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.